Hello everyone, my name is Marlon Banta. I'm a senior manager in the product definition team at the DS SolidWorks Corporation. Today I'd like to talk about mesh modeling in SolidWorks 2018. So what do we mean when we say faceted geometry or mesh geometry files? A faceted model is one comprised of small facets. In our case, these facets are triangles. The common file types for faceted or mesh geometry files are STL, OBJ, OFF, PLY, and more recently, 3MF files. So some of the common sources of faceted model or mesh geometry files. Very commonly, mesh files come from scan data, from 3D scanners, either optical or contact. The scanner produces a point cloud and then joins those points into a mesh file, and commonly those meshes are triangular meshes. Mesh files also come from, or facet geometry also comes from artistic mesh-based modeling software, things like ZBrush, Cinema 4D, or Modo, where very complex organic shapes are created and the resultant file is a series of facets to represent this complex organic geometry. You can also get a faceted geometry file or a mesh file from a CAD export. So someone taking a CAD file and exporting it to STL or OBJ or one of those mesh file formats, commonly in order to remove any proprietary information from the file. We are seeing mesh files become more prominent because they are used in 3D printing or additive manufacturing. So first, let's talk about graphics bodies. We're going to review the old behavior with graphics bodies and see what's new in SOLIDWORKS 2018 related to graphics bodies. Before we get into SOLIDWORKS 2018, let's take a quick look at the functionality in previous releases. So here we're looking at SOLIDWORKS 2016. If I were to open, an STL file, I have the options to import the STL file as a graphics body, solid body, or surface body. Now, when it imports as a solid or surface body, you get a solid or surface body with all of the facets represented as faces, and you can manipulate that body as you would a regular SOLIDWORKS body. But commonly, people use graphics bodies because these mesh graphics bodies tend to be quite large in size, having many facets. So we'll do the same thing here, and we'll open this very simple model cylinder block, and simply to say that there wasn't anything really you could do with it once it was opened. You couldn't section it, you certainly couldn't render it, there was nothing to select in that model. It was purely there for to provide a visual reference for any future modeling operations. Here's that same file now opened in SOLIDWORKS 2019. You can see that there's many changes right off the bat. First, we show the facet edges. If you turn on Shaded with Edges or Wireframe, HLR, HLV, we have a new graphics bodies folder here in the feature manager tree, which helps you manage the bodies. You can do things like delete, move, things like that with these graphics bodies. We now have selection filters. So you can select, this one will select the facets, or you can turn on this selection filter to select the vertices of a facet. You can now section the model. Do keep in mind it has to be a graphics only section when you section it. But one thing that I think is very important is you can now create a, you can now use the graphics body as a reference in a sketch. So we now add relations. So here I'm going to create this. So we now add sketch relations to facet geometry. So here I'm just creating a simple sketch that essentially is the entire outline of the graphics body, and I can use that to come here and create, and extrude. So this here I have a solid body that I created based on the sketch from the graphics body. Let's go ahead and delete that. Other things you can do with a graphics body, you can now apply appearances to a graphics body. So here I am applying an appearance to that feature, that mesh feature. And certainly you can render the graphics body in PhotoView 360. There it is in the integrated preview. Another great tool you can use with graphics bodies is our new Surface from Mesh feature. So here we go, Surface from Mesh. What this allows you to do is create standard SolidWorks surfaces based on the facets in a graphics body. So there I'm creating faces, and we'll see them in just a minute. They're being occluded by the graphics body. And we can create planar, spherical, cylindrical, or conical surfaces. We even have a new paint select tool, which allows us to quickly select facets. Let me come here and loosen up the tolerance a little bit. And there we get a cylinder that represents that cylindrical face. So if I come here and I hide the mesh body, we see that we have now surfaces, SolidWorks surfaces that we can use to create solids or what have you based on that mesh geometry. So those are a few of the things that we can do with graphics bodies. And again, graphics bodies are the direct import of a faceted file or mesh file without attempting to convert it to a solid or a surface. And you would use graphics bodies in situations where the number of facets were very, very large, or the facets could not form a solid or a surface for some reason. Thank you for watching this video. My next video will cover a new mesh-based body type in SolidWorks 2018.